The first person to laugh was the blacksmith. The second was the mayor. By the end of the week, nearly the entire valley had joined them. Claire Dawson stopped trying to explain herself after that. At 26 years old, she had learned something important. People rarely changed their minds before disaster arrived. Only afterward. The trouble began during the coldest autumn anyone could remember. Snow appeared on the mountains in early October. Streams froze weeks ahead of schedule. Even the birds seemed eager to leave. Claire noticed all of it. Most people didn't. Ever since childhood, she had spent more time wandering the canyons than sitting in town. She understood the land. The cliffs. The rivers. The hidden places. The mountains always spoke. Most people simply ignored what they were saying. That year, the mountains seemed nervous. And so did Claire. The valley relied on a single mountain road. If winter buried it, supplies stopped. Travel stopped. Help stopped. The town became isolated. Claire warned people repeatedly. Nobody listened. Then came the argument. A wealthy merchant named Walter Briggs had recently become mayor. He hated pessimism. He hated warnings. Most of all, he hated being questioned. During a public meeting, Claire stood and described what she had observed. Early snowpack, unusual animal migrations, rapid temperature drops, signs of a severe winter. The mayor rolled his eyes. Every year someone predicts catastrophe. This isn't the same. It never is. Laughter filled the room. Claire remained calm. The mountains are preparing for something. The mayor smiled. No. He leaned back in his chair. You're imagining things. More laughter. By the end of the meeting, Claire left frustrated. By the following week, she became the town's favorite joke. People greeted her with weather predictions. Children asked whether the mountains were talking again. Even neighbors who liked her struggled to take her seriously. Then the canyon changed everything. Claire discovered it accidentally. Late one afternoon, she followed an old game trail into a narrow canyon several miles from town. The place felt isolated. Forgotten. The stone walls rose hundreds of feet overhead. Snow covered much of the ground. The deeper she traveled, the quieter everything became. Then she noticed something strange. Warm air. Not warm weather. Warm air. A gentle current brushed against her face. She stopped immediately. The canyon temperature hovered below freezing. Warm air shouldn't exist there. Curious, she followed it. The current grew stronger. Eventually, it led her to a narrow crack hidden within the canyon wall. At first glance, the opening looked insignificant. Just another fracture in the rock. Then she stepped closer. The difference became undeniable. Warm air flowed steadily from the darkness beyond. Claire touched the stone. The rock itself felt warmer. Her pulse quickened. Something existed behind that wall. Something large. She returned the next day carrying tools. Then the day after that. The crack proved wider than expected. Most of it remained hidden behind fallen stone and tangled roots. Hours of work gradually revealed more. Eventually, the opening became large enough to enter. Claire lit a lantern, then squeezed inside. The passage twisted through solid rock for nearly 50 feet. The warm air strengthened steadily. With every step, her curiosity grew. Then the tunnel opened. Claire froze. The lantern nearly slipped from her hand. A massive chamber stretched beyond the passage. Natural stone ceilings arched overhead. The floor remained dry. The air felt surprisingly comfortable. Not warm, but dramatically warmer than outside. And that wasn't the most surprising discovery. Someone had lived there. Long ago. Shelves lined portions of the walls. Storage alcoves filled side chambers. Stone supports reinforced weaker sections. The place looked ancient. Forgotten, yet clearly used. For several minutes, she simply stood there staring. The chamber continued farther than her lantern could illuminate. Additional passages disappeared into darkness. The canyon wasn't hiding a cave. It was hiding a refuge. Claire spent the next week exploring. Every day revealed something new. Additional rooms, water sources, storage areas, evidence of long-forgotten inhabitants. The deeper she explored, the more convinced she became. This place could shelter dozens of people. Maybe more. Then she found the journal. The leather-bound book rested inside a wooden chest hidden beneath a stone shelf. Dust covered everything, yet the pages remained surprisingly intact. The first entry dated nearly 70 years earlier. The writer called himself Henry Whitlock, a trapper. According to his notes, he discovered the refuge during another severe winter. Over time, he expanded it, improved it, prepared it, not just for himself, for emergencies, for disasters, for people. Claire read every page. Then she reached the final entries. And stopped, because Henry repeatedly mentioned another chamber deeper inside the canyon. A hidden section he called the Hearth Hall. According to the journal, natural geothermal warmth flowed through stone beneath the mountain. The deeper chamber remained comfortable even during the harshest winters. Warm enough for long-term survival. Warm enough for entire families. Henry considered it the true heart of the refuge. Yet the journal contained only vague directions. No map, no clear route. Just hints, clues, fragments. Claire closed the book slowly. Outside, winter tightened its grip on the valley. Inside, she had already found shelter. But Henry Whitlock's final entries suggested the canyon still held a larger secret. A secret that might matter sooner than anyone imagined. Because 2 days later, the first major storm arrived. Snow fell continuously. Roads became difficult. Travel slowed. And for the first time, people began asking Claire questions instead of laughing. By then, she was already planning her next journey deeper into the hidden refuge. Because something told her Henry's mysterious hearth hall wasn't just another room. It was the reason the refuge existed at all. And before winter ended, finding it might become the difference between survival and disaster. The second storm arrived 10 days later. The first had been a warning. The second was a catastrophe. Snow began falling before dawn and never stopped. By midday, the mountain road disappeared. By evening, drifts swallowed fences and wagons. The valley had seen bad winters before. This felt different. This felt endless. Claire watched from the entrance of the hidden refuge. The canyon walls shielded her from the worst of the wind. Warm air still flowed steadily from the depths beyond. The mountain remained calm. The world outside did not. For 3 days the storm raged. On the 4th day, another storm followed immediately behind it. The snowfall doubled, then tripled. People stopped talking about weather. They started talking about survival. The town became trapped. No supplies could arrive. No one could leave. The mountain road vanished beneath 20 feet of snow. Then came the collapse. The roof of the grain warehouse gave way. Part of the general store followed. Several barns disappeared entirely. Fear spread faster than the storm. For the first time, people remembered Claire's warnings. And for the first time, they believed them. The mayor arrived at her cabin just before sunset. His expensive coat was covered in snow. His face looked exhausted. Gone was the confidence. Gone was the arrogance. Only worry remained. "We need help." Claire looked at him silently. The mayor lowered his eyes. "You were right." Those words seemed difficult for him. Very difficult. The town won't survive another storm. Claire glanced toward the mountains. Dark clouds were already gathering again. The worst wasn't over. Then she thought about Henry Whitlock. About the refuge. About the mysterious Hearth Hall. "Follow me," she said. The mayor blinked. "What?" "I found something." The next morning they left before sunrise. A small group accompanied them. Town leaders. Several farmers. A few volunteers. Nobody complained. Nobody laughed. The canyon quickly silenced them. Especially when Claire revealed the hidden entrance. One by one they squeezed through the narrow crack. Then entered the refuge. The reactions were immediate. Disbelief. Astonishment. Hope. The shelter looked even more impressive with fresh eyes seeing it for the first time. Stone chambers. Storage rooms. Natural protection. The mayor stared at the walls. "You found all this?" Claire nodded. The group spent hours exploring. Then Claire revealed the journal. She explained Henry Whitlock's notes. The Hearth Hall. The deeper refuge. The geothermal warmth. Everything. By evening, a decision had been made. They would search for it. Immediately. The storm outside was growing stronger. Time mattered. The following morning, Claire led the expedition deeper into the mountain. Henry's clues proved difficult. Several passages ended abruptly. Others looped back on themselves. More than once they nearly turned around. Then Claire noticed something. A faint current of warm air. Not from the main refuge. From somewhere else. Somewhere deeper. She smiled. The mountain was giving directions. They followed the airflow. The tunnels gradually descended. The temperature increased. Not dramatically, but enough to notice. Then they found the blockage. A stone wall. Natural at first glance. Artificial upon closer inspection. Someone had sealed the passage long ago. The group worked for hours. Removing stones. Clearing debris. Expanding gaps. Finally, a narrow opening appeared. Warm air rushed through immediately. The difference was undeniable. Beyond the wall lay something extraordinary. One by one they entered, and stopped, because the chamber beyond looked impossible. The cavern stretched hundreds of feet beneath the mountain. Warm vapor drifted through the air. Natural hot springs emerged from the stone. Small streams carried warm water across the floor. Green moss covered portions of the walls despite the winter outside. The temperature felt comfortable, almost spring-like. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Nobody had expected this. The hearth hall wasn't merely another room. It was an underground world. Then they noticed something else. Structures. Dozens of them. Stone shelters. Storage buildings. Work areas. Gardens. Ancient gardens. The place had once supported an entire community. Long ago, people had survived here. Prepared here. Lived here. Henry Whitlock had only discovered part of the truth. The hearth hall wasn't a refuge. It was a hidden settlement. A complete one. The mayor slowly turned in a circle. We can save everyone. Claire nodded. That was Henry's plan. The evacuation began immediately. For 6 days, volunteers traveled between town and canyon. Families carried supplies. Children carried blankets. Farmers transported food. The entire valley worked together. The storms continued. The snow deepened. Yet each day, more people reached safety. By the time the third blizzard arrived, nearly the entire town had moved into the mountain. More than 200 people. The hearth hall absorbed them all. The warm springs provided heat. Stored supplies provided food. Ancient shelters provided protection. The hidden settlement came alive once again. Outside, winter unleashed its full fury. Storm after storm buried the valley. Buildings vanished beneath snow. Roads disappeared completely. The town effectively ceased to exist. But inside the mountain, life continued. Children played. Families cooked. People worked. People laughed. People survived. For nearly 2 months, the hearth hall sheltered the entire community. Then spring arrived. Slowly, gradually, the storms weakened. Snow melted. The world reappeared. When the townspeople finally emerged from the canyon, the sight stunned them. Much of the valley lay in ruins. Several buildings had collapsed entirely. Others suffered major damage. Had people remained there, many would have died. Everyone knew it. Nobody questioned it. One evening, weeks later, the entire town gathered near the canyon entrance. The mayor stood before them, then turned toward Claire. For a moment, he struggled to find words. Finally, he managed. "You saved us." Claire shook her head. "No." The mayor frowned. "What do you mean?" Claire smiled and looked toward the canyon wall, toward the hidden crack where warm air still drifted into the evening sky, toward the refuge beyond, toward the forgotten settlement beneath the mountain. "Henry Whitlock saved us." The mayor nodded slowly. "Perhaps, but everyone else knew the truth. Henry built the refuge. Claire found it. And because she trusted the mountains when everyone else laughed, an entire town survived the worst winter in living memory. After that, nobody laughed when Claire spoke about the mountains again.